Welcome back to the Relationship Mentors podcast. I am Mia and we are joined with Charlie. And today's episode is all about what it actually feels like to be in a healthy relationship. But before we dive into all of that, Charlie, would you like to give us a quick update of a weekly recap?
Yeah, it's been a really good week this week. A lot of changes happening. Do you know when it feels like you're being called up to the next level all the time? We got invited to speak at an event together, which is really cool. So our first speaking gig together, I think it was on this podcast like 3 or 4 weeks ago. No, probably more, like 6 weeks ago, where I spoke about my first speaking gig and going to that. So it really feels like you guys are along for the journey, like seeing our progress through life and through business. So it's really cool that you're along for the journey. And yeah, in 2 weeks, so Sunday the 21st of April, we're doing a speaking gig together. Bunch of cool entrepreneurs on the Gold Coast here and talking about their story, talking about mental health, talk about worthiness, all the real shit along the way, sharing our stories. So I'm super excited for that. And there's always a little bit of nerves that come up. Like most people are more scared of death than they are of public speaking. So it's like when you can step into that fear, you put yourself in the smallest bracket because most people are staying so comfortable. So getting called up like that and running towards it is like, oh, it feels scary in the short term. But once you've done it, you're like, wow, I feel so capable now. So that's really cool. And also we invested into a business coach.
We did.
Which is really cool. And we had a call with him, getting more clear because the impact we wanted to make. And then it's like, we know the impact we're going to make and we know what we're trying to achieve. And then it's like bringing that down to the 3D world of what are the actionable things? How do we talk to our audience? What actually converts? How do we impact the people we want to impact? So it's like getting clear on that really helped. So yeah, it's been a great week. Really enjoyed it. Mia Cherry, what's been happening for you? Highlights of the week?
Maybe like this week, I feel like you've really recapped it. However, it's like what's happened this week as well as last weekend, which was the Easter long weekend. We have spent a lot of time speaking to family and seeing family. So like this week and last week, we've called a lot of family over in the UK and here. But not only that, it's like obviously over Easter, we went to the Sunshine Coast and spent time with like my cousins, my aunties. I've seen my sisters a lot more. My mum was there. So it's just been like such a really like family last 2 weeks. So it's like really been nice to fully be in the moment, like playing board games, just going fishing with my younger sisters. It's been really fun. Like
slowing down a bit.
Yeah.
And we felt so we felt really grateful this week. Even I think it was a Monday and you were feeling a bit sick and it's like, oh God, imagine having to go to work now. We both just sat in bed working from bed on our laptops and just under the sheets just there.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. Couldn't imagine going out. And it's so easy, like in the life we've created for ourselves, we love it so much. And it's so easy to just focus on the negative of the things we're missing rather than everything we've got. It's like, wow, we get to work from home. We live by the beach. We're in this amazing relationship. We're doing all this. And then sometimes I can get stuck more so in the mindset of, fuck, but we're not this, but we're not there yet, but we're not doing this yet.
I think actually, the last 2 weeks have been a great reminder for both of us of, okay, we've worked so hard to build this lifestyle that we've wanted for ourselves, as well as enjoying all the things that make us so happy in life. And that's like seeing family, seeing friends, connecting with each other, just like being more in the moment at certain points as well. And having, behavior flexibility as well as getting to choose every day what we're wanting to do.
Yeah, such an interesting thing where it's like humans' default is to be unhappy. If we were happy throughout humanity, we'd still be cavemen because we'd have no reason to get better. So there's this constant drive for a lot of people, most people I'd say, to not be satisfied where they're at, to always want more, to evolve, to keep going. That's why humanity just keeps evolving. We keep evolving. We're never going to go backwards in a way. Well, we might have if the world's restarted again, but that's a whole nother topic. It's just like for the individual, it's so normal to always want more. That's like the human condition. So it's finding that balance of, can I consciously recognize how grateful I am while still chasing my goals? And that's such a fine balance to get right.
Yeah, and that's something that like we are still trying to figure out. And I do believe it's something that's forever going to change. As like there's some moments in life that we're going to be so happy in of like just being there in the moment. And then most of the time, especially, we're always wanting to improve ourselves. So it's like always chasing the next achievement.
Yeah, especially over the years, I've recognized I'm like, when I get this, I will be happy. When I'm doing this, I will be happy. When I'm working for myself, when I'm in this relationship, when I've got an apartment for myself, when I've got this. And then you get there and then you're just so focused on the next thing. I'm like, fuck, this is everything I ever wanted. But yeah, I'm still looking at the future.
Yeah. It's like, to share a part of that, when we first moved into the apartment that we're in now, which was like a year and a half ago, I would say, it's like everything that I thought I was wanting in life, I had achieved. Like, was officially working for myself. I've left like a 9-to-5 self-efficient, like funding that, moved into a beautiful apartment across the road from the beach at the Gold Coast, have the most amazing relationship. I'm healthy. Like, I'm a lot more confident than I was years ago. Yet when you idolize it, it feels so different to then when you actually have it, since it's like, I've wanted this for so many years, and over the years I've gotten closer. Each step has got me closer to where I am now. So it doesn't feel like this massive, like, wow, I've really achieved this. This is amazing. Like, yes, it felt great. But since it was like 5 years to achieve that, it was just little steps that I just...
Things feel normal so quick, don't they?
Yeah, so quickly.
It's like, this is everything I ever wanted. So like, you're chasing that, you have a purpose, you have focus. And then once you get there, it's like, wow, what now? It's a fleeting feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like a blank canvas. You've achieved it all. What do you want now? And if you're looking at life saying, I can have anything I want, but you can't have everything you want. So what do you want? That can feel scary, right?
Yeah.
Having a blank canvas and be like, all right, cool. Design your life. What do you want to do? It's like, oh shit, what do I want? And you found yourself in that void for quite a while, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a long time, because like, we moved in here is when, and there was like a solid period where I was just like, okay, this is the job that I've decided to start. And then like, it was a different business than what we're in now. And it wasn't until we went traveling for like 3 months to the other side of the world where we just got to see life again, and it just like made life more exciting, because like, I had achieved all the material things, or achieved everything that I thought I wanted. And I was so happy. Like, I love everything that I have. It just... I didn't know what that next thing was. And so it was just really nice to go traveling and just explore the world. And that made me really happy in that time.
Yeah, getting out of our environment. Just like, everything can look the same after a while. Like, when people travel to Rio de Janeiro and they see Christ the Redeemer, that massive statue on top of the mountain, they're like, holy shit, that is amazing. That is incredible. I can't get over it. It's amazing. And then people that live in Rio de Janeiro look at it, and they probably look at it the same way we look at a lamppost or a pylon. It's just there, right? They're so used to it, seeing it every day. So it's like, in your life, if you're not moving forward, it can so easily just feel normal and feel nothing. Doesn't feel like you're moving anywhere. It no longer brings you happiness. So it's like the constant practice of remembering what you wanted, and being grateful for that.
And it's gaining perspective as well, because I think that's what traveling gave me as well. Because like, seeing, like, I went to the UK for the very first time, and just seeing how different it was over there. Like, I loved it so much, yet it made me so appreciative of certain things here, like the weather, and it not being
full stop, the weather.
Their summer is like a Gold Coast winter. It's like, it's sunny.
Really nice though.
It was really nice. However, it just made me appreciate so much, like, oh, I could walk out in shorts and a crop top at the Gold Coast and it'll be fine. And yeah.
And even we went to Bali as well for 6 weeks, I think. And then there's a lot more poverty there. It's not a first world country. There's a lot of tourism, and people take these nice photos inside cafes and at these destinations. But outside of that, the 99% is quite a poor country. There's a lot of poverty there. And seeing all that, it just puts it back into perspective. It's so easy on the Gold Coast, surrounded by so many skyscrapers, so many successful people, wealthy people, Lamborghinis driving past, people making $1 million a month. It's so easy to get wrapped up in that and feel behind. But then you go to these different countries, you're like, fuck, we are so, like, if those people saw how we live, they would be so, so jealous. But we're too busy looking at how other people live and be like, oh, fuck, we're not there yet, though.
Yeah, so interesting here.
Amazing. So into today's topic, what does a healthy relationship feel like? We were thinking about a topic for the podcast, and Mia suggested this. So I'd love to hear, like, what was the motivation behind sharing this for people?
So I was literally on the couch yesterday just thinking about It's like, oh, Charlie and I genuinely like have such a great, healthy relationship. And I remember it's like I've had many relationships. I've had other relationships in the past. It's like Charlie has had other relationships in the past as well. Yet none of them have felt as secure and as happy and as fulfilling as this one. And it's like I really feel like that has so much to do with just how we've molded into each other. It's like how much we've supported each other, and we go into a lot of it throughout this episode. However, it's like, wow, it's like if I only knew what a healthy relationship really felt like, I would have known when to leave up certain other relationships, or what I could have improved in other relationships. Because yes, before, like in old relationships, you know, like improve your communication. What does that look like? Like you only have a certain level of what you know what a good communication look like, what a team dynamic looks like in a relationship, what a supportive relationship looks like. Like most of the time you only have your own relationships to compare, and you're like, yeah, we're supportive. Yeah, we act like a team. I guess so. But it's like, it wasn't until this relationship that it's like, there's no relationship that I've ever had that comes close to the way that we support each other, the way, how secure our relationship feels, how happy we are all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'd love, like myself 3 years ago would have loved to have known this
and
information.
listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
It's having a reference point. Like it ties into what we were talking about earlier and everything feeling normal. It's like your relationship can feel so normal. I was in a 7-year relationship, and looking back, I'm like, fuck, there are so many things to improve in that relationship. But when I was in that relationship, it just felt like a relationship because I didn't have a reference point for how good it could be. I was like, everyone's relationship is just like this. Like that's what goes on in my head. Like, this is normal. Whatever's happening here, this is what everyone's is like. So it's like when we're talking to people and like, hey, do you want to improve your relationship? They're like, my relationship's fine. There's not enough drive to get better. So it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Unless you have been in a great relationship, you can never compare it to your old. Like you never know the light without the dark. You never know the dark without the light. So you need something to compare it against. But if you're just in one thing, like if you've only been in one relationship since school, for example, then that's all you got to compare it against. Then you don't know where you stand. So humans need something to compare against, right?
Exactly. And even when you are comparing against certain, like even I'll say Instagram or social media, right? Because there are a lot of couples that people would follow on social media. Sometimes you can only perceive their relationship as much as you have felt and perceived in your own relationship. Does that make sense? Like you could feel like you have it's an all right relationship. Yeah, we argue every couple of days, or like a really big argument once a week. But I bet you those people on Instagram are also having these massive arguments who are yelling and screaming at each other and disrespecting themselves, like each other as well. But reality is like, Charlie and I have spoken about, like, yeah, we have little arguments every single day or every couple of days, but we never have arguments that we're screaming at each other or that we're disrespecting each other or we're swearing at each other. It's
or
like,
getting dragged in over days and days.
Yeah, it's just like, yes, we have arguments, but our arguments are never massive fights or like things that you see on movies sometimes or things like that.
It's two people trying to get their needs met, and we do it in a healthy way. And looking on social media, it's so easy to see other happy couples and be like, oh, they must be so happy, they haven't got any problems. But it's like, we don't want to talk about the flashy stuff. We want to talk about the actual day-to-day boring stuff, if you like, of a healthy relationship and what that actually feels like. And we're not perfect. There's things we need to work on. And next week's episode is going to be what we're currently working on in our relationship. Because we've constantly got things to work on, right? There's times I feel like shit in the relationship. There's times you feel like shit. But it's like the overall foundation of a healthy relationship. That's what we're talking into today.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the first points that we wrote down was assuming the good. So Charlie wrote this one down. I thought it was really good. So
in a relationship, this comes from the work of John Gottman and Julie Gottman, who are probably the most well-known relationship researchers. And they said a big difference between healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships is when something happens, say your partner comes home late from work, an unhealthy relationship will assume the bad. Oh, he must be cheating on me. He must not care about me. He's so selfish. He doesn't let me know. So assuming the bad. Whereas a healthy relationship, when someone's running home late, there must be traffic, or he must have run over late in work, or he's like, how good that he works so much and provides for us. Like just anything like that.
Yeah,
So
like
assume the good when it happens, right?
My thought would be, if you worked a 9 to 5, he's like stuck chatting again to his mates, like co-workers before he leaves.
Yeah.
Which is a healthy,
and there's so many of these moments where you could assume the bad or assume the good. A couple I was speaking to last week, it's like the guy was feeling criticized by his partner because obviously the woman needs reassurance in a relationship. That's so common. That's so needed. But it's like how that woman approaches the conversation is so important. If the woman comes across with criticism or with you're guilty till proven innocent, questioning the man, that feels like shit as a man. But when the woman can come across as like, hey, this happened, like, I trust you, I know it's not like this, I just loved some reassurance on this. What happened was there was something about like a colleague said this thing that made her feel like, that might test the trust in the relationship. So the best way to go about it is like, hey babe, like this has come up, like I trust you so much and I'd love some reassurance around it, rather than, hey, this person said this, why did you do that? So like assuming their side rather than the other person's side.
Yeah, it also, assuming the good is just goes to show that you genuinely trust your partner and you genuinely believe that your partner is a good person. Because if you don't believe that your partner is a good person, for what reason would you want to be in a relationship with that person? It's like, I believe that you're such a great person and I believe that Charlie is like someone that I can definitely trust. And like I always know that you're always good.
Yeah.
So I was going to say good until proven guilty.
Yeah, and people be talking on this is like,
yeah,
but my last relationship, I trusted him and he cheated on me. It's like, this is not your past relationship. You can live in your relationship with one foot in, one foot out for the rest of your life. And it won't be a fulfilling relationship. It won't go as deep as you can take it. It's like, is there 100% certainty your partner won't cheat on you? No, that's impossible. But can you go all in? Can you be vulnerable? This is what vulnerable is. Vulnerable is being willing to be hurt. And that's how you actually go deep in a relationship. But when you're one foot in, one foot out, it's like, I won't fully commit because of last time, he might cheat on me. Then you never go deep with someone. But where you can go like, 100%, I'm so in this. Like, this is the hill I'm willing to die on. I'm putting all my chips on black. I'm putting all my chips here, right? And then that's how you create a great relationship rather than, always worrying that you can't trust them. Like, if you're in a relationship with them, trust them 100%. Why not love to the depth that you can love?
Yeah, it's something that we have spoken a lot about on the podcast and we hear so much is like I was cheated on in my last relationship and then they bring it into this relationship. It's like I was cheated on in one of my past relationships, yet coming into this relationship, that didn't mean I believed that my new partner would be also cheating on me. It's because it's like, if that has happened in the past relationship, it should have been healed and dealt with in that past relationship and something that you're healing and working on for yourself. And then treating your current relationship, like when I met Charlie, it's like he just gave me so much evidence of how committed he was in our relationship. Like every single day he would just show me how committed he was in loving me and being in this relationship, that he never gave me any evidence for anything bad to ever happen.
And on that, you need to give your partner a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
To show you. Because if you go into a relationship with preconceived notions that all men are dirtbags, all men cheat, all men do this, or all women cheat, all women aren't loyal, then your brain's going to look for evidence in the relationship to confirm your insecurity. You're constantly going to be on the lookout. You're going to make things mean certain things. You're going to see him swiping out of an app and think, he must have been messaging a girl. He's going to come home late and you think, obviously he's cheating on me. It's like when you look for evidence to confirm your insecurities, you will find them in your own delusion, right? But when you can make the decision, be like, I am trusting in this relationship and I'm going to do my best. And then you look for evidence to confirm what you actually want rather than what you don't want, then you can start gaining new evidence. Because your brain needs new evidence to confirm a new belief, but you need to actually choose to believe in that thing first and then gain the evidence.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Then the second dot point that we did write down is what it feels like to be in a healthy relationship is always being on the same page. So this is something that we were discussing the other day of like within a relationship, being on the same page is so important. And that's where effective communication comes in. And we always talk about having effective communication is so important within a relationship. Yeah, I believe a lot of fights within a relationship comes from both of you guys being on separate pages, and you're both fighting to get onto the same page because your partner's fighting for his case to be like, no, this is the way I see something. And you're fighting of saying, no, this is the way that I see something. And you're just hoping that the other person gets onto the same page. And so it's like through the courses that we've put together, like the conflict codes, we really help you learn how to have those effective communications and learn the language and the techniques on how to actually communicate what you're feeling and the page that you're actually on, so you can get your partner to be on the same page with you, and you get to be on the same page with your partner, because it's such a waste of time just communicating for hours but you're still on separate pages.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, well, this is the page I'm on, this is the page I'm on, yet you have no vision of going on the same page. But yet a healthy relationship is you're both on the same page, and wherever you're stepping next, you know that you're both, you know where both of you stand.
That's the main thing, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of insecurity is from not knowing where the other person stands. So you're not sure if you're safe in this relationship, and that's where the insecurity comes from. And communication, a lot of the time, couples are saying the same thing, but in a different way. And you just can't hear each other. Like, it's miscommunication. Effective communication is sharing your thoughts and ideas and feelings in a way that the participant receives it, in the way that your partner can receive it. If you're just talking at someone in the way that you're just giving, and that hasn't worked in the past, and you keep using that strategy, well, that's just dumb. Like, you need to learn, like, how does your partner want to receive this information, this feedback, this feeling that you're trying to convey? If you keep using it in a way that's not getting good feedback, then it's just going to repeat the same old cycles. So you need to learn, how does your partner operate? How do they want to receive feedback? How do they want to receive reassurance? And then that's how you actually master communication and get on the same page, because you can actually share your feelings. You can actually share where you stand in the conversation, in the relationship, in a way that they can receive it. That's the biggest thing about communication. It's not just about you expressing yourself. It's you expressing yourself and in a way that your partner can receive it.
It's so powerful. It's just like, if you're, for example, a lot of women, not a lot of women, but some women in particular, sometimes may feel like they have to raise their voice and then argue their point across. But in reality, even if that's just, for example, me trying to express myself in a way that is like, this is how I feel, this is just how I want to express myself, and I want Charlie to hear me. But how is Charlie going to hear me if he's not wanting to be yelled at and received? So he will just go into a defensive mode and not actually take
Shut
in.
down.
Yeah, he will shut down rather than taking in what I'm wanting to say and what I want him to hear. So it's like, how can I present the page that I'm on in a healthy way that he will actually receive it and hear it the way that I intend it to be?
There's so many ways to tell that your strategy is not working. If you're a woman and you talk to your partner and he doesn't listen, and you have to talk louder and louder and louder in order to get a response from him, so basically you have to shout, you have to fight to get your opinion across, the strategy is not working. There's something broken there. You don't know how he wants to receive feedback. You don't know how to talk to him. So you need to change your strategy, because so many women are like that, of like, I have to shout at my partner in order to get a reaction, in order to get any attention. And that must feel like shit, right?
Doesn't listen. Yeah.
Fuck, that must feel so frustrating. And when we talk to clients, like, frustration is the main word that comes up in their relationship. And it's like, you can tell, because imagine trying something and then it's not working, and you're just trying harder and harder and harder at the same thing. Like, more force at something that isn't working will never make it work. So you need to change your strategy. But most people are totally unaware that there is a different strategy.
Exactly. And a lot of people are unaware that they currently even have a strategy, because it's such a default strategy that they're not even aware that it's not
this
working.
Is the only way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what we were saying about having a reference point for a different thing. Like, this is your reference point. If you're feeling frustration with your communication, maybe it's because you're doing the wrong thing. And if you want help with that, you know where we are. So it's like, some people just carry on doing the same old strategy, expecting a different result. And that's insanity, right?
Yeah. Excellent. Then our third point that we did write down was an open phone policy for a healthy relationship.
This isn't something we discussed. We just fell into this. We both just like, obviously, like, why wouldn't we?
Yeah, it's so interesting, because you do hear a little bit on social media and through other relationships of it's like, oh, this person went through my phone, or it's like, you don't have your password to your partner's phone. It's like, for us, it was just something that we never spoke about. It was just
normal.
Yeah. It's just like
Like,
you know
why
my
wouldn't we?
password, I know yours. It's just like for what reason would Charlie not be able to look at my phone? For what reason would I not be able to look at Charlie's phone? It's such a thing that it's like, I have absolutely nothing to hide. I was saying to Charlie just before the podcast, like, I have absolutely nothing to hide, only just like embarrassing photos maybe, which we just make fun of each other anyway. But it's just like, other than that, there's literally nothing that I would have to hide, and there should be nothing that your partner has to hide either. So the fact of like, if anyone's hiding their phone, or you don't know their password, or they don't like you opening up the phone without them being there, it's like, for what reason would that be the case?
Yeah, and how easy does it feel? How secure does it feel just knowing like that just isn't a thing? Like, imagine having anxiety every time your partner picks up your phone. It's like, oh fuck, what are they gonna find? Like that, or like your partner being worried about picking up their phone. That would be so much anxiety in a relationship. That is so unhealthy, I feel.
Yeah.
A lot of couples I speak to, they say, or the woman says, I look through his phone, like, I know I shouldn't have. I know I'm like a crazy girlfriend, but I did. It's like, if you feel like you have to, there's warning signs there, right? It's like, why wouldn't a couple have an open phone policy?
Yeah, the only thing that I'm hearing now is like, oh, but privacy. It's like, oh, but there should be a sense of like privacy, and it's like my phone, so it should be private. But in reality, it's like, no, it doesn't need. Why? For what reason would you
hiding yourself?
Yeah. Why would you be hiding yourself? Why would you be hiding anything from your relationship unless you're not committed in your relationship? And it's like, a relationship is just so much about transparency. So
yeah, and I'm willing to stand on this of like, if you don't have an open phone policy, if you don't trust your partner to go through your phone, because that's where most people spend their time, right? People spend 8 hours a day on their phone. So that's a big part of someone. It's like, if you're not willing to let your partner look through anything that's on your phone, it's like, that's a strong sign that there's something wrong in that relationship. Like, you're hiding something, and that stops you from going deep because you're hiding parts of yourself. And a deep relationship that lasts, that feels really, really healthy and strong, is a relationship where you don't need to hide anything. Like, Mia and I don't hide anything from each other, and it feels so easy. We feel so safe, so insecurities don't come up. And that's a huge part of a healthy relationship.
yeah, and then talking on that, this isn't a point that we've written down, but it was now that you spoke about like insecurities, it's like, yeah, right at the beginning of the relationship, of course, there's certain things that I am insecure about, just like body image maybe, or my thoughts about certain things like that. But it's like, over time, I've really realized that Charlie just loves me through all of it. It's like a really, like a true representation of what a healthy relationship is knowing that you can be your full self around your partner. Like I was saying, it's complete transparency. It's like, the more that we've gotten to know each other, it's like we've gone through that dating phase. I feel like now we're in a very open relationship, transparent relationship, I would say. It's like, over the time, I've shared any of my insecurities that I've ever had about myself with Charlie, and he's just loved me through all of them. That I know in the past, a lot of the time, like, when you're at home when you're home alone and you can feel like you just be your true self. It's like, you can lay on the couch, you could look lazy, you could do this, you could do that. But it's like, you feel like complete freedom when you're at home by yourself. But that's genuinely what I feel like when I'm in the house with you.
And then you have to put an act on when you go see your boyfriend. You have to put makeup on. You have to act a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Why be two different people?
So it's like, it's such a freeing feeling to be like, oh, when I'm home by myself alone, compared to when you're in the house with me, it's exactly the same. Where in the past, I would have believed that I was like, okay, show your best front with your partner, be this perfect person, do this, do that. But it's like, it's so much better and such a healthier relationship when you can be your complete self, be completely transparent, and know that your partner just loves you through it all.
And I always say the relationship's the best form of personal development, because chances are there's things that you don't love about yourself. There's things that I didn't love about myself. There's things Mia didn't love about herself. But when you get into a relationship and you get to bring those things into a relationship, and your partner loves you through all of it, you get to love your parts through all of it. Like, one part for Mia was, you couldn't imagine not wearing mascara around a boyfriend. And then the first time I saw you out with mascara, it was a big thing for you. And I was like, you're so beautiful. And you're like, you kind of felt it, didn't trust it fully. Then you didn't wear mascara again, or like, I love you, you're so beautiful. And then over time, you're like, I am beautiful. I get to love myself without mascara. I am beautiful.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because now it's like that was years ago now.
Yeah, that was right at the start.
Yeah, it's like now that's definitely not even an insecurity of mine. It's actually rare for me to wear mascara. I'm wearing mascara now, however.
There's so many random things. Like one of my insecurities in my body was like I felt skinny. And then Mia was like, no, like you got so many muscles. Like, look at you, you're ripped. And
Charlie has a constant six pack, so I'm like, you're not skinny.
Yeah, 100%. But there's probably things that you don't love about yourself right now. Like, to be honest, there's things that you don't want to share with people. But in your relationship, it is such a great opportunity to love yourself for those things and not hold them in shame, because shame can only exist in the dark, right? As soon as shame is brought to the light, it dissipates. And your relationship is such a great opportunity for that.
I really love that.
That's great.
Yeah, so like bringing everything into light, that way you have no reason to be ashamed about it.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do it straight away, if it feels a bit scary, that's totally normal. Just bring a little thing up, practice, bring a little thing up at a time. You don't want to be in your first week of your relationship and be like, here's everything I hate about myself. Like, that's not how you do it. You bring something up, you're like, okay, I feel good through that. That gives you more confidence for the next thing. And you just keep doing it.
Yeah, it's just like when things came up for us, we spoke about it. And then it's through those times that we just accepted each other even more.
100%.
It's like I wouldn't have never known your insecurities unless you shared them with me.
Yeah, 100%. And people can act a certain way, and a lot of people act from insecurity. But if the other person doesn't know they're insecure about that thing, they could be like, why the fuck is she acting that way? Oh, that's triggering my insecurity. Does she not like me? So it's like when you don't speak about these things, it causes so much miscommunication.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. The next point is not storing ammunition. A healthy relationship doesn't store ammunition. And what I mean by this is using things from the past in current situations. Whenever couples argue, the problem is hardly ever the problem. The problem is something that's stored in you as resentment or anger from the past, and you're bringing it out now in this current situation. When I speak to couples, it's like they're holding on to anger from the past and they're using it in current situations because they haven't had the difficult conversations about things in the past. They haven't wiped the slate clean. They haven't removed the things they've swept under the rug, because people sweep things under the rug so much that eventually there's a monster under the rug, and that's what causes shit in the relationship. It's hardly ever the present moment that fucks up your relationship. It's all the shit you haven't sorted from the past, right?
Yeah. They wouldn't know what more to add to that because I just explained it so perfectly.
Storing ammunition is a big sign of immaturity in your relationship. If you feel like you need to fight your case by using shit that's happened in the past and you keep bringing that up like a toilet plunger, bringing up old shit from the past, then that is so unhealthy.
Yeah, and it also just goes to show that you're not self-reflecting enough of like, why didn't you bring that up in the past? Why aren't you bringing it up and resolving that in the moment now? Because it's like, sometimes I feel like if you're just in such a pattern of holding and storing ammunition, it feels great to be like, you're doing this and you're doing that, and pointing the finger of saying, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault I feel like this, it's your fault that this is happening. Yet it's like, you don't realize that you're in this toxic cycle, rather than being like, okay, actually, this is how I'm feeling right now, and having that adult, mature, and having the harder conversation of actually resolving it, of this is how I feel, this is actually what I was wanting out of the situation, but this is what's happened. I don't know where we went wrong, or I think this is where we went wrong. And then getting that other person's point of view as well, so you can discuss and break down what actually happened in those moments that triggered something.
And you learn so much from that.
Yeah.
So you're learning how to love your partner. Your partner's learning how to love you. So if you don't bring up things that bother you in the moment, your partner will never know that, and they will keep repeating that cycle. Just because something annoys you doesn't mean your partner knows that. So when these little frustrations or these little insecurities come up and you think, oh, it's only small, I'll be a crazy girlfriend if I bring that up, that's not important. If it's important to you, it's important to the relationship. So you need to bring those things up. Otherwise, it just gets bottled up and it builds, and eventually you'll have a big argument about it. And your partner will be like, whoa, what the fuck? This bitch is crazy. It's like, no, she's not crazy. She's just never brought these things up in the past.
Yeah, something I really love that you said is, if it's important to you, it's important to your relationship, because you're both a team. And like I said, like, everything is just about being transparent. If something's happening with one person in the relationship, you're a team. You're both going through it as well.
And this really ties into the next point. A healthy relationship are confident in having difficult conversations. like bringing things up. A lot of people don't bring things up out of the fear. I think a lot of people don't bring things up out of the fear of this could lead to a breakup conversation. I'm so scared of this leading to a breakup conversation. And something you really did well, you created and you drew this thing out, which really explained it. It's like, when we argue, it doesn't mean the relationship's over. Like, we're at 100%. And then when we argue, say like 1 or 2% gets damaged from the end, which we grow back even stronger.
Yeah, the way that I always explained it was, when we're having an argument or if we're having a disagreement or we're not seeing the same page at the moment, it's like our relationship is strong and secure. It's like we are still in this relationship. We're still both 100% committed. Like, our whole relationship is solid and strong. It's just this moment and in this conversation, it's like I like to look at it as two different lines. On the bottom line, it's so secure, strong, solid relationship. And up the top, there's a little fragment of we're currently having a difficult conversation because we're both seeing things and we're both on a different page at the moment. I'm seeing something one way, you're seeing something a different way. And a lot of that of the time, that can be we're seeing things differently because of our past experiences, of just the way that we've seen the world in the past. And we're having this difficult conversation so we can go back onto the same page. So we're discussing how I see something, how you see something, making sure that we're communicating it and assuming the good, as well as just trying to get onto the same page without storing any ammunition. So it's having those difficult conversations, not to store ammunition for the future. So you can really see how like all of these points really intertwine with each other. That
was really good. And you tied all those in, yeah.
Yeah.
And think of it like, I'm sure there's people listening to this in the gym right now, and you're tearing your muscle. You're damaging your muscle right now. You're damaging yourself. But guess what happens? You come back even stronger, right? If you're squatting, you're damaging your legs, you're tearing the muscle fibers. But then you eat food, you eat the protein, and the muscle fibers get even stronger, ready for next time. And that's what happens in the relationship. You need these little micro tears, which are like these little arguments, these little disagreements, because you learn so much in that, and then you can come back even stronger. Like, say you're at 100% and something damages you, like you have a disagreement about something, and you go down to 95%. And then you'll go back to like 105% because you'll go back even stronger. You'll know that person so much more now.
The way that I really see it now, like after you explaining it like that, it's like the veil is almost being lifted. It's like when we first started going out with each other like years ago.
Back in the day.
Back in our day. Like within our first couple of weeks of dating, I felt like we knew each other so well because we had just like such deep conversations. I felt like we just knew each other so well. Then as the years have gone, or like as the conversations have gone on, as the weeks went on, months gone on, years have gone on, we just feel like we know each other so much more now. But even a month into our relationship, I felt like we knew each other so well. Does that make sense?
And just keeps getting deeper.
Yeah, and it's just like the veil is being lifted even more. Like what I was saying to Charlie, it feels like we're just crossing like the next wall, which we didn't even know there was a wall there. Yeah. It's like I feel so close and connected to you that there's just, all the veil is being lifted of like you just know each other even more. And that's why having disagreements is actually quite healthy for the relationship, because you're showing your true colors in those times. You're really getting to share with your partner the way that you view the world, the way that you view the situation, the way that your mind works, the way that you articulate the way that you are when you are upset. And I feel like that's such a vulnerable state to be in, which I love. Like I
love what you said about the walls. Like there are walls in our relationship that are up that we are totally unaware of right now. And that's exciting, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to meet those walls. And in your relationship right now, there's walls up. There are walls which you haven't come across yet. There might be walls that you are aware of and you're not crossing, but there are also walls that you are not aware of yet and you're going to come into contact with. Like even for us, we thought we knew each other so well. And then there was another wall there we came across, which was like finances and joining finances together and being like, oh, okay, like it's our money now. And that was an edge for both of us, right? Yeah. And then we moved through that and that brought us so much closer together.
I remember Charlie speaking about when we first moved in together, joining a certain account, like an investment account in particular. And it's like, oh, we'll put in this amount and like I'll put a percentage of this amount in. And with the way he was explaining it wasn't fair. Like if I put in like $500 and he'd put in $1,000, I'm like, oh, wait a second. If you're putting more in, that means that if worse comes to worse, you'll say that you've put in more money, so you deserve everything. So, and that was just
you're on
because
the
of
defensive,
my own like past experiences of like, okay, like my own security of my own money, this is mine, that's yours. It has to be absolutely 50-50. And that's a really big thing that I've learned in a relationship, that actually learning to join all of our finances, and it's not his and not mine, it's just ours. And that's been, I think it took me a while to really settle into that, but now it's just like, wow, I can really see why so many other people, like I think there's even finance coaches that speak about that if you're in a marriage, there should not be his money, your money, it should just be both of it's our money. And how impactful that is in the relationship, like that really changed our relationship.
That
really
is
felt like
huge for the team dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah. And myself 2 years ago, I would have never have thought I would have joined finances. I always was the type of person that was like, this is mine, I'll forever have my own finances, I will like prenup everything. And now it's just like, wow, when you're actually in such a secure relationship, it just changed everything.
I remember Liz, we got a mentor and a really good friend on the coast here called Liz, and she was talking about having joint finances in the relationship, and she's like, you'll get there, you'll do it. And it felt so far away. Like, this isn't us. This is like when you get married, maybe, like, but still have your own money. And I had friends in the past who were older than me and in a bad relationship, and they were like, rule number 1, never share your money with your wife because she'll just leave you. And I took those on. I was like, yeah, fuck that. Like, have my own finances. And these beliefs build up. But now looking back, it's like you can see they were in an unhealthy relationship. So no wonder they didn't want to share finances with a woman, because they could break up any day. But when you're actually in a healthy relationship, it's like, we can't imagine not sharing money now. Like, do you know how awkward and shitty it is? Like going to a cafe together, like, oh, I'll grab this. Oh, I'll grab that. Oh, what did you get? Oh, no, I'll grab that. You grab the last one. When you go to Woolies, like to supermarkets. Split it in half. Yeah, when we go to supermarkets together, it's like, oh, I'll grab this one. Oh, but you're getting more stuff than me. It's like, fuck that shit. If you're in a healthy relationship, if you're all in your relationship, join finances. And this doesn't mean to do it. I wouldn't do it a week, month, a few months. I don't know. I wouldn't do it straight away.
It's like when you guys feel ready to. Like, obviously, if you're married, you join finances. If you've, it's like what feel the right timing for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I think for us, it was like maybe a year and a half together.
Yeah, we moved in, and then we're sharing rent and stuff like that. And it's like Mia puts rent in, I put rent in. We put for the bills and stuff. We put money in our joint account to invest. And then after a while, it's just like our money. We just join forces, and that just feels so much. Yeah, it doesn't feel like me and you. It feels like us.
Yeah, there's a finance couple that I watch. I don't know if they're a couple, but just like a finance group that I follow, and they do say like the healthiest way is all of your money goes into one bank account, and then there's a small percentage that can go into your separate accounts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's just your play money. That's not for you to go buy food with. Like, that would come out of our joint account. It's for you to go and buy a massive Nerf gun if you're like, not that that's your thing, but it's like if there's like a big boy toy that you're wanting to buy, and if there's like, I want to go get my, I don't know, do something else with it. It's like we don't do that personally in our relationship, but I do hear that that's something that they recommend if you feel like that you want your own money for a certain thing that you don't both agree with. There's a percentage that goes into your own account.
And we are not financial advisors. Do this at your own accord. And even like, because it's our money. And if I wanted to go out and buy something, I'd be like, hey, Mia, I really want this thing. You're like, cool, go for it. Yeah. It's not like, oh, but you took this much money out, so I need to take this much money out, so it's fair. It's like, no, just have a conversation. Just speak to each other. Just want the other person to be happy. And that makes it so much easier, right? Yeah.
It's just like a whole... And I don't even know fully how to explain it. It was just like, it just unlocked a whole nother level that I thought I would never cross. And I was like, wow, it actually feels so much...
You never thought that was possible.
Yeah, it was like so much more freeing. So
and seeing past things like in your family and stuff where there is divorce and things have got messy, it's like, no, you need to be so safe. And that's a limiting belief that a lot of people can grow up with, because it's like 50% of marriages end in divorce. So if you're listening to this, there's a 1 in 2 chance that your mum and dad is divorced, and maybe it got messy, and maybe you don't trust your partner with finances. But that's something you get to unlearn. That's something you get to choose, right? You get to trust your partner. You get to build this deep relationship. And something that's really helped us was finances. So that might be right for you. That might not be right for you. It might be worth a conversation with your partner. But yeah, something that really helped us.
Yeah, and I felt like that was like our very last wall to cross, because we had like been traveling together. We had lived together for a year. We had done a lot before we chose to join finances. We had a joint bank account that we both separately put money into, but we now have just one account. Well,
yeah, it's like I bought flights to the UK, you buy flights over to Bali, then I'll pay for the accommodation. Like there's all that shit. And then now it's like, we'll buy flights over there. Amazing. So the next one is women feeling safe to receive. I'd love you to talk into this.
Yeah, so this is the one that I wrote down. So it really, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, the reason that this podcast episode idea came to me was because in the past relationships, could have never imagined having a relationship that feels so secure as the one that Charlie and I have now. And a massive thing that Charlie, I believe, helped me to feel so safe and happy in our relationship is allowing me to step more into my femininity and learning how to receive. So like we just spoke about before, like my parents divorced when I was really young. And so something that I always thought was like, okay, I need to be really strong and I need to be really independent and I need to make sure that I have my own things happening for me, like having my own career and having my own business and having my own money and doing everything for myself and not allowing anyone to help me, because if I needed help from someone, it mean that
I'm weak.
Yeah, I am weak and I needed help from them and that I couldn't do it on my own, where I had been proving to myself my whole entire life that I can do it by myself. And so when I look back at past relationships, I was so in my masculine energy of like, I was working so hard and I was making the money and I was paying for like all the bills.
Independent.
Yeah. It was like, I would pay for all the dates. I would pay for all the dinner dates. I would pay for the holidays because I was independent. I can provide. And I
don't need no man.
Yeah. I was like, I was acting like I don't need no man as I was in a relationship. So it's like now when I look back, it's like, okay, I was very not as soft in my relationships as I am in this relationship. And something that's really allowed me to step more into my feminine energy is actually dating a man that's a lot more in his masculine energy. And being in his masculine energy, he's like Charlie's always taken the first step. He's such a leader within the relationship. From like our first date, you always took the first step. You always showed me not just the first step within planning dates and planning holidays and taking the lead in certain situations, but it's also taking the first step of you've taken the first step in being vulnerable. You've taken the first step of showing me how much you care for me and continuously showing me how much you care for me until I felt comfortable enough to share that with you.
Yeah.
It's like you were such a leader in those moments, which was so much in his masculine energy that it allowed me to actually feel safe to go into my feminine energy and learn and allow myself to receive it. Like to receive if someone actually planning the dates, paying for the dates, showing me how much they care for me.
Carrying your stuff, opening your door, just small things.
Yeah, and it really circles back to something that we said at the beginning of the podcast, which is allowing your partner to show you the evidence. Does that make sense?
I love that.
That happens so much within our relationship of like you would always organize to see each other every like 3 days from our first date, and it felt so amazing. But yet at the same time, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I've heard somewhere it's like if he sees me too much, he's not going to be interested in me anymore.
Rules. Yeah.
And I was just taken back by it of just like, okay, just breathe into it and just, am I having fun? Like, am I enjoying seeing this person every couple of days? Yes. Am I enjoying talking to this person every day? Yes. Like, I'm having so much fun. So why not just lean into it? I didn't lean into it 100% within like the first week or 2 weeks of us talking, yet I was leaning into it enough that made me feel comfortable. And then Charlie, I think after a couple of weeks, realized that I'd always feel a bit funny when he'd organize the next date.
Too soon. Yeah.
And then I was like, then I opened up about that insecurity of like, oh, I feel like we're seeing each other a lot, and I don't want to feel like I'm overstepping. I know that you're the one that's organizing all the dates.
I don't want you to get bored of me.
Yeah, it's like I don't want you to feel like I'm wanting or like needing and desperate to see you. And like
I don't want to be clingy, I don't want to be smothering, I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that.
And then Charlie just opened up, was like, that's not at all how I feel. It's like, I'm like, you're the one organizing all the dates. And I was simply saying yes to them. And so it's like I allowed that time for Charlie to show me how much he cared for me, because even at certain points when I'd like lean in a little bit or say yes to that date, like leaning in for me was saying yes to that date and then showing up. But then Charlie showing his evidence was every day messaging me and every day showing how much he cared for me, and every day like excited to organize the next date and organizing a date with all of our friends, like all of my friends and his friends. Or I'd see him on one date and then I'd go home and then he'd call me, be like, what are you doing Friday? We should go to this place and I'll invite these friends and you should invite these friends and we can all go together. It's like you just showed me how excited and happy you were to be around me.
Yeah, it gave you new evidence in that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I meant when I said to be in a healthy relationship. It feels like you being able to for a woman to be able to step into her femininity and having it safe for her to receive.
And if there's men listening to this, a chaos in a relationship will come from the woman, but she will only be chaotic like that and cause you stress and frustration if you're not making her feel safe. So when a woman doesn't feel secure in the future of the relationship, if she doesn't know where you stand, she's going to create uncertainty. She's going to kick up the dust because she wants to know, right? If she's not feeling connected to you, if she's not getting answers from you, she's going to be up your ass, not like that, but she's going to be at you trying to get these answers so she feels safe. And everything comes from there, right? The main thing women want in a relationship is reassurance and safety. The main thing men want in a relationship is respect and peace. But most relationships receive none of that. The man isn't feeling peace from the woman because the woman isn't feeling reassurance from the man. So if you're a man in a relationship, you must make your woman feel safe by actually reassuring her in the future of the relationship. It's like, hey, I'm so in this. Be consistent in your behavior. Be consistent in your communication. Be clear in your communication. Tell her where you want to go. Tell her where you want the relationship to go. Like when you are clear with your woman like that, she'll feel so much safer and she won't bring up so much shit. She won't bring up so much chaos in the relationship, right?
Yeah, which is a great segue into our very last point, which is being in a healthy relationship feels like when you actually start acting like a team, which is something that we talk about so much, and it's something we really speak into a lot within our Conflict Codes program, because acting like a team is the absolute foundation of a relationship. You can dive into it.
100%. It is the most important thing, I think. Like there's so many things, there's so many tactics and things you can do to improve your relationship, but the core of it is, are you a team? Is it you and them against the problem, or is it always feeling like you versus them? Are you enemies? When I get on calls with couples and I hear them talking to each other, it's like, do you feel like an enemy or a teammate right now? It's like, we feel like enemies. It's like, cool. That's the biggest thing you need to shift right now. So you need to work together to build this great thing. Because building a relationship, like, it is something great. There's going to be hardships along the way. There's going to be risk. Like whenever you build anything great, when you start a business, there is risk, there is hardship, there is uncertainty. But you'll never build anything great without that. When you raise a child, there's going to be sleepless nights, there's going to be hormones, there's going to be annoyances. They're going to trigger you so much. But you're raising a child, it's something great, right? And I want you to take your relationship in the same way. Like your relationship is something great that you're building together. It's this project, it's this baby that you're raising together. Think of your relationship like that. And then you're both putting effort in to make this thing great. When something goes wrong, you're not trying to fix each other, you're fixing the relationship. You're putting energy into your baby, your relationship. And then when what you put in, you get out of that as well. Because your relationship gets to be the biggest launch pad for other areas of your life. It gets to be supportive. It's like when there's things going on in your life, if you've got health issues, if your family aren't talking to each other, if you're struggling with finances and your relationship is stressful, fuck that. But when you have troubles in other areas of your life, but you know your relationship is rock solid, that is such a secure base in your life.
It allows you to be interdependent, right? So it's like your relationship should be such a place of security and such a team dynamic and such a secure base for you to always fall back onto and always to have there, that it allows you to be so interdependent, to go off elsewhere in other areas of your life and really thrive and really just like try something new. And for it allows you to have more confidence when you do try something new, or when you do go for that promotion, or when you do want to try that new hobby, because you know that you feel so secure and you have such a secure base within your relationship. And so it's like all the points that we've said today, it all leads back to actually having such a secure relationship and a team dynamic, which overall is a healthy relationship.
I love that you mentioned interdependent. I don't even know if that's a word. I think we just made it up. But it's like
we use it all the time.
Being dependent is needing that other person. You can't survive without that other person. There's desperation there. Being independent is I don't need that person. I don't want that person. I'm strong on my own. Like Mia mentioned when she first got into dating, she was like, no, I need to pay for the dates. I need to do that. She was being independent. Then there's no connection there. But when you're interdependent, that means I can fully rely on that person and I can fully rely on myself. I want that person's help. I want to rely on him. I want her to rely on me. It's like when you have the interdependent, it's like I'm so comfortable fully leaning on this person because I know I can fully lean on myself. And you're not in either side. You're not being dependent or independent. You're in the middle. You're like, I get to lean on me and I get to lean on them.
Yeah, I love that so much. So just to go over all the points that we did, right? It was assume the good, stay on the same page, open phone policy, no
storing ammunition,
confident in having the difficult conversations where a woman can actually feel safe to receive, and lastly, to start acting like a team are all ways that a healthy relationship actually feels like.
Amazing.
Excellent. So I'm going to read out one of the questions for this week and I would love your thoughts on it.
Yeah, amazing.
Excellent. So it says, hey guys, I have a question on my mind. It may sound silly, but my boyfriend likes to tell me that, in quotes, we don't know what the future is made of. We can't say that we'll end up together. And then she goes on to say, I don't know why, but this sentence triggers me. But I don't know if I should tell myself that he's just being too realistic or that he doesn't see himself with me at all.
Don't know what the future holds. This is what we're talking about in building a business, building something great. There is so much uncertainty. Like Mia and I don't know we're going to be together in 5 years. We have no idea. But I bet my house on it. That's the hill I'm willing to die on. It's like you got to take risks. You got to be all in on things that you want to be great at. And I want to be great in this relationship, so I'm all in. But I haven't got 100% proof that it's going to last. Like no one does. So why would you say that to your partner? Why would you add that insecurity into the relationship? It's like when you can be fully confident, especially as a man, like that woman is not going to feel safe in that relationship. She's going to feel more anxious. She's not going to be as trusting because that man's saying that to her. It's like, that's really, really unfair. If you're a strong man in your relationship, you should be like, and you want to be in this relationship, you're like, I'm all in. Like, I don't know if this is going to last, but I'm all in. Like, I am yours. This is going to work out. Yeah.
It's like, and something that because I would say it's like what her partner is saying is something that I always believed as well. It's like, we never know what the future holds. It's like, we never know if we're going to end up together. However, the reality is it's like, with Charlie and I used to think that as well, of like, and it just used to be my own safety net of like, just reminding myself that this isn't forever and it's not going to last. Yet it was just my own safety net. And then the reality is it's like, we know all the tools within the relationship. Yeah. It's like, we know how to have the difficult conversations. We know how to stay on the same page. We know it doesn't mean that we're forever going to not have conflict in our relationship, but we know that we know how to work through conflict, so we end up on the other side of conflict feeling even stronger and more connected with each other. It's like it's like what you said, like we could bet our house that we're going to be together for such a long time because we know that it's like we already know the realisticness of it, we already know the stats that 50% of marriages end up in divorce, yet a lot of them don't know themselves, they don't have self-awareness, they don't know how to communicate effectively, and they don't know how to act as a team, because the knowledge that we teach through our courses is just not common knowledge, even though it should be. So I just know, like, no matter what happens in our life. It's like the person I'm going to be in 5 years is going to be different than the person I am right now. The person that Charlie is right now is going to be different than he is in 5 years' time, because we know that every single day we are growing and we are evolving. And it's just that commitment of, I'm going to stay in touch with who you are and who you're growing into, and you're going to stay connected with me as I grow and evolve. And it's like we're making that commitment to always choose each other.
And personal development is the biggest reason for breakups, people growing apart. But people grow every day. Like, who were you 5 years ago? If you're listening to this, stop for a sec. 5 years ago, picture a moment. What were you like? Who were you hanging around? What were you doing for work? Like, what were your mannerisms like? Like, you're going to be completely different from who you are today. So who you are in 5 years is going to be completely different. And if you're in a relationship, it means your partner's going to be different in 5 years as well. And the way you get certainty is staying connected with each other. We talked about the same page. Like, Mira and I have touch points every day, like, to check in where we are with each other. Because we're not telepathic. We don't know what's going on in each other's mind a lot of the time. But we have touch points every week. We have touch points every day of where we both stand in this relationship. So then we're secure in the future together. But we have no idea if it's going to last.
Yeah, and that's why we always talk about relationship check-ins once a week, because it's like you could have had new thoughts and ideas that have happened and evolved through that week that you haven't shared with your partner yet. And it's the relationship check-ins every single week that actually help you stay connected on an emotional and intellectual level so much.
100%. I love that, baby.
Yeah, I love that too. And so also on that note as well, it's also about still remembering how to have fun together as well, because what I see a lot in relationships, and something that we talk about a lot, is we just tell you a lot of information on how to improve your relationship and all the different dynamics within your relationship that you can improve. Yet sometimes a lot of people also forget to have fun in the relationship and what that looks like for you. So like for us, I love playing a board game with Charlie. Like I love board games.
We sound like such old people.
Well,
but it's so fun.
Yeah, it's just like my family has always grown up playing like card games and board games, and that's how we connect with like my family and my aunties and my cousins. And so I love getting to do that if it's been a really busy day and we haven't really connected, and sometimes we're just tired and we don't want to have a massive deep chat every single night. It's most of the time it's like, let's just go outside and play a board game, and I love it.
Yeah, there is a lot of, we had feedback before of there's so many rules in relationships. Like these aren't rules, they're recommendations. This is how to create a strong relationship. This is a recommendation. There are people out there who are in happy relationships who don't do any of this stuff. But it's just like, these are the things that's working for us. These are the things that's working for our clients. All the research we've done. It's like, these are the things that I can bet my house on work in a relationship. So it's like still having fun. Don't be rigid in your relationship. Don't be a robot. Don't go through the checklist every day of like, did we do open phone policy today? Did we assume they're good? Were we on the same page? It's just like, have fun, flow with it, improve day by day, enjoy the journey with your partner.
Yeah, I love it.
What have we got planned this week?
That's why I was like,
I feel pretty blank. Like most of our days feel the same.
Yeah.
So this week, Sunday, we're meeting up with friends, which is super exciting.
We have like a group catch up, so there's a fair few of us catching up at the park.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's going to be great. Yeah, lots of things happening in business and in our own personal life. Something exciting coming soon, so we're excited to announce that project.
Yeah.
So a lot happening in our life. But on this week, I think the meetup, I'm looking forward to that. Just like meeting up by the beach with a bunch of friends. One of them's got a baby, so we're super cute for that. Yeah.
Super sweet. And mine would be the same as yours.
Yeah, I really pounced that on you. Yeah. Like day by day can feel the same, but we love the life we live, so why wouldn't we live that?
Our routine is very much the same every day, so.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this, it really helps us out if you leave a review. So if you're listening to this, leave a review on Spotify or Apple. It takes 5 seconds and it really, really helps us. Or if you're on YouTube, drop a comment below saying your feedback or how it's helped you. And yeah, it really makes us feel great. And share this video with your partner as well, or this podcast. Something to build intellectual intimacy is sharing podcasts together and then coming together and talking about it. That's something that really helped us. Like we used to send podcasts to each other all the time. And then
Charlie used to send me...
Now we have a podcast together.
Yeah. Charlie used to send me like 3-hour podcasts. I was like, but that's
You'd send 20-minute ones. I'll send 3-hour ones.
Yeah.
But like coming together and talking about it after, that's how you really get on the same page. So Thank you so much for listening, and join us next week.
Thank you guys so much for joining and listening. We really do appreciate all of you.